Hello, and once again, we are live to the Modern Mystery School UK and EU podcast and YouTube channel. And today we are joined by the lovely Dawn. Dawn, how are you?
I'm doing great, Davina Kate. Thank you for having me.
It's my absolute pleasure, and I'm very excited to hear about why you decided to join the Ritual Master because you come from quite a technical background,
Yes.
and you have that, and I know that you had struggled with anxiety and such like. And so how did you end up with being on a ritual, wanting to be a ritual master?
Right. Well, it was as much of a surprise to me as anyone, to be honest, but I found myself in Healers Academy in May of 2018 in Toronto, which also I didn't know I was there. I just felt this pull to be there. And during Healers Academy, Ipsissimus Dave Lanyon addressed our class, and I had never met him before. I didn't really know much about him. But when he spoke with a level of clarity and authority that I had never heard anyone speak with before. And he also is quite funny. And so I liked that about him. But one of the things that I noticed about his humor, and this actually goes for all of the lineage holders, is that their humor comes from a place of joy and light. Unlike a lot of comedy in the world comes from like negative emotions like fear or resentment or anger. And I was like, this is so joyful and light and pure. And I love this. And so I think at that moment I just wanted him to be my teacher. And overheard some of my fellow students saying they were going to go to Ritual Master in October in London, which was like 5 months from then. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And I did. And that's when I met you.
I know. It's wonderful. It's wonderful because you're right about that. It's that clarity and that humor that's clean, and it's like, okay, this is where joy is. This is coming from joy of being
Yeah.
in the world and having that inner peace.
Yes.
um, so I totally relate to that. So thank you for bringing that up because that's wonderful description of it. Now, obviously, you decided to go to Ritual Master because of those reasons. Now, have you found that on the path, how has it affected your life? How has
Mm.
it, or what's changed in your life that you would perhaps attribute to Ritual Master?
Yeah. Well, there's two main things I want to bring up, and I'll talk about them separately. But the first one is that I've stepped into my power in a way that I didn't know was possible and stopped being a victim. And then secondly, I live a magical life that I didn't have before, And so I was recalling back to my experience of Ritual Master 1 in London. And again, that like clarity and authority from Ipsissimus Dave came in. And I walked into that class believing that I was a victim. I had a lot of trauma, but also I was very entrenched in politics and activism. And I just believed a lot of the narratives that were in the public, domain at that time, the public consciousness about, corporations or the reason I'm angry or upset or why my life doesn't work or the government or the president or there were all these narratives that I had totally bought into about why my life was terrible and why I didn't have any power in the world. And, in Empower Thyself, I remember being told that I am God. But, at that point, you don't necessarily have to embody it or you don't necessarily have to believe it. It's just given to you as an option. But once you step into Ritual Master, my experience was that Ipsissimus Dave again comes in with such clarity and authority, and behind him is the hermetics, how God works, the law of God, the mind of God. And when you feel that, there's a resonance and there's a truth that comes in that I couldn't really deny. It wasn't like I was agreeing with him in my mind, because a lot of the things he was saying, my mind was disagreeing with. But my soul was like, this is true. This is true.
Mm.
And I found that for myself, it was like the most rapid deprogramming boot camp in terms of, um, I arrived feeling that I was a victim, and I left knowing that I'm God and knowing that I'm powerful. And the things that I didn't like in my life, I started to take responsibility for and realize that I can recreate those things. I can change those things. And also, if I'm not a victim and I'm God, everyone else in the world is also God. And so I have to start treating other people also like they are God, from
Mm.
the divinity perspective, but also a perspective of they have that power and they have that authority in their own lives. And so it changed so much about how I saw the world, and how I behave in the world and how I created my life. And then, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that is a huge point, because I've discussed this recently in some of my social media about how it's very easy to stay in that moaning kind of place where we're moaning, where we're blaming others, pointing the finger out at
Mhm,
everybody else, the
mhm.
government, the education system, our friends, our family, our this. And in doing that, we don't take that action to
Mhm.
actually make the change in ourselves. We just keep blaming. And it does hold you in a place of, when we're there, it doesn't hold you in a good place. It keeps us in
Yeah,
suffering. And I
totally.
love that you recognize that, and then you were able to lift yourself out
Mhm,
and start living a free life.
mhm,
I
mhm.
love that.
Yeah, and then the second part is, I live a magical life now, and I have to rewind a little bit, because before I found this path, I was living a life where I would wake up and I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess it's another day. And I wasn't really that happy about life. I didn't have gratitude for life. I just thought it was something I had to suffer through. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I had generalized anxiety disorder, which I don't have any longer due to the path. But also, I just didn't, again, believe in my own power to create a better life. And so, one of the things about the initiatory path is that every initiation gives you 10 times more power and 10 times more capacity to hold the light. And so by the time you're a second step ritual master, you're at, I believe, like 10,000 times more capacity to hold the light, right? Than you were before you became an initiate. And so, what can you do with that power is really the question. And for me, one of the amazing things has been magic. Like, you can do magic with that power, magic in creating your own life, but also magic in affecting the world in a positive way. And once you become a ritual master, you get to study some of the higher magics, like Enochian magic, and you learn how to work with the angels in a totally different way. And you learn so many teachings about how they operate and how to work with them and how to work with them to influence the world in a better way. And you then have the capacity too to hold all that light so you can work with them in a different way, and the authority to work with them. So that's one of the coolest things I think about being a ritual master, is the magic of it, and then you get your magical name. And that for me was life changing, because it reunited me with a piece of myself that was always there but was hidden. And and then now I can step into living in the world and embodying being a goddess in a totally different way,
Mm.
and bring that archetype energy, that archetypical energy into the world, which is so needed, and live it in the flesh, in this physical existence. And it's really like one of the greatest honors to live a magical life, because I went from a life of apathy, apathy, and not even really wanting to be alive, to be honest with you. It's not like I wanted to be dead, but I also didn't really, I was in this limbo. And to going from that to seeing every day as a possibility and every day as magic is a total 180. And that's due 100% to the ritual master path.
I love that. Thank you so. I mean, our time has whizzed by, and your story is remarkable. And I 100% agree with you. Living a magical life is the most coolest thing on the planet.
Right.
without a shadow of a doubt. And I know this is going to inspire a lot of people out there, that they can make the change, they can break free. The choice is theirs.
I hope so.
Thank you so much. And hopefully you'll come back on the show and share some other experiences with us. And we would love to have you back.
Thank you, Davina Kate, for the opportunity. It's a
Oh,
pleasure.
my pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.